Welcome back, YouTube, and thank you guys for sticking with me as I document my first real estate development project. I'm not supposed to be, my goal was to shoot like an update roughly like every week, but the project got halted like due to funding, so I didn't want to just make like a pointless video if I was just like going through like legal like jargon or planning things out. So I just wanted to have some specific things to speak about before I made a video, thus why I'm shooting now. Today I'm going to talk about a couple things. If the land that you have isn't cleared, there's actually a way that you can have it cleared technically for free. And also I'm going to talk to you about an unexpected expense technically. Well, I expected the expense, but it's more than I initially planned due to the actual like location of the property. And you may or may not have to deal with this depending on if you're close to like a city or where you're building. The first thing I want to talk about is actually getting the land cleared. It's actually possible for you to get it cleared for little to nothing if you have like specific kinds of trees on there. I used to work for a company that did directories and buyer's guides for associations around the country, and I worked on a project in particular for the North Carolina Forest Association. And I learned a lot about like different trees and like growing and like how big the business was. So I did this to negotiate the actual price of getting the land cleared, because I've gotten wild quotes, from like several thousands of dollars, and this is literally like a little over an acre, because like in the subdivision the houses are going to be like relatively close. And I was like, okay, so let me just see if I can pull something off here. And it turns out, because of the pine trees that I had on the land, I was actually able to negotiate actually getting the land cleared, getting a little bit of like a kickback as well. But I just went ahead and told them, hey, whatever, all the pine trees on there, you can have it, and you're doing me a favor, just like smooth it out, take the trees and like the rubbish, and they didn't even do it like a burn, because sometimes they'll do like a burn on there as well. I've seen that. And in case you're wondering, this isn't in like a city. This is like 10-15 miles outside of like city limits, so that's why you're capable of like doing those things. And it also leads into like my second point about the unexpected expenses. It's worth it to talk to companies that actually produce products that have like paper. I'm not sure what are they all around the country. Where I'm from, the biggest producer of that is Georgia Pacific, and they technically like they farm trees. Like you'll see that they'll have like large acres of land, and they'll have like the trees, and they'll come through there every year, and they'll just cycle them out. Like you'll be able to see like directly down, probably looks like for miles, because they've literally like perfectly aligned the trees, and it's literally like their tree farm basically for like their products. And they make things like paper towels, toilet paper, things like that. So technically like a giant paper mill, per se. But it's worth it looking into those companies, because they are consistently acquiring land, and it's possible that they can do like a project or something like that, especially if you have a reasonable amount of trees. Like if it's worth it for them, I can see them doing that, because that was the case for me. So that's definitely a way that you can get your land cleared. The second thing I want to talk about is the unexpected expenses. If you are not inside of city limits, it's possible that you're going to have like a water pump. And what that means is you're pretty much going to drill into the aquifer, and that's pretty much going to be your source of water. Or if you've ever been driving through like a small town or something like that, and you'll see like a giant like water tower, and it'll have like the name of the city and stuff on there. That's technically what it is. It's like a giant water reservoir, like a giant water pump basically, but that's going to be like the storage and where X amount of residents get their water from. Like a water pump for a home works in that same fashion. It's just a smaller, like 50, 100 gallon reservoir there, but it's consistently pulling water from the aquifer. So technically in that area, I'm not sure if you've seen the first video or if this is the first video you're watching, but in part 1 of the series, you'll see that a guy with a machine, and he's drilling into the ground. That's what he's digging there. He's digging a well for a water pump. Now, it gets tricky because the piece of land that I have is on a it's at an elevation. So it's flatter parts in the area, but the land I have is at an elevation, which I was like, okay, well, this is an advantage for the properties. I have to worry about like water runoff and stuff like that. Did not take into account that I was actually adding footage that would have to be drilled for the water pump. So typically, like when you do like those types of contracts, especially if you do like more than one, they'll include like the first 100 feet like in the price of the pump. So for like $3,000, you get like the pump and for example, you get $3,000, you get like the pump and hook it up to like to the house and all that kind of stuff like that. And it includes 100 feet. So after that 100 feet, you pay for every foot that you have to dig. And you multiply that by 4 and you've added, just because of where it is, and it just so turns out that the water is also a little deeper on your side as well, in addition to the elevation. So now you're adding about 200 feet per house and you're paying per foot. So yeah, that's definitely been fun, dealing with that and trying to negotiate those prices and pretty much just trying to save money because, again, that was literally a big unexpected expense. But, again, the homes have to have water, so there's no way around it. So I'll definitely do like an update video, probably specifically on that because it's more like numbers oriented. But I did just want to address that the two technically like unexpected things and just a creative way to save money technically. And also I just wanted to address some of the questions that I've gotten on the first video. And I saved a lot of money up front, some money with the engineering process, because a lot of people are saying that, okay, how do you get like the zoning or the what's the cost of a civil engineer? How do you get started? What's the first step and stuff like that? I specifically did this. That's one of the reasons why I hopped on the opportunity, because if you're doing a smaller subdivision, you have to be very particular about your numbers, because it's easier for people that are doing larger subdivisions saying, oh, well, I only want a 30% spread. Like if it's anything lower than that, it's not worth it for me, blah, blah, blah. But if you're doing a smaller subdivision, or if you don't have millions of dollars and you have a huge partnership or network of people to make this happen with, or just everybody on payroll ready to jump in the action, you have to be very particular about your numbers. And this particular property was actually planned to be a subdivision. It's been sitting for a while, since roughly around like the 2007, 2008 period. And it was technically zoned and like literally being structured to be an actual subdivision. But we all know what happened as far as like in that time frame, as far as the market crash, and the owners never really got back to it. They lost a bunch of money. I think the original company went bankrupt. And so it's literally been sitting there. The property has the zoning definitely had to get redone just because it's relatively old, and I just want like actual updated paperwork saying that, hey, this is the actual square footage, and I don't need like any encumbrances with like neighbors or anything like that. So if there's any like fences being put up and all that kind of stuff, I just want to know what's what, because I don't want to have to buy land or additional land or move fences and all that kind of stuff like that. Not a lot of money to get zoned, rezoned technically. The zoning as far as for residential, like that was already taken care of, but not worth the headache to just rely as far as like on the old paperwork. On the engineering side, I saved a lot of money because the property technically already had like road access, like the roads were paved. Literally just everything was just like divided up. And I looked at this actual property like many years ago, and I just was like nowhere in the position to even like approach them as far as like with an offer or try and find out who owned it. But it's literally been sitting there. I noticed that I've driven around it before many years ago, and like the road access, electricals, everything's literally just sitting out there, like literally just like waiting. And I know some people technically develop the land this far before they technically just pass it on to like a home builder company, or just have people as far as that's what they do. They don't go the whole way as far as for developing the land and then putting the home on it. They'll literally just buy a piece of land, divide it up, pretty much prep it for home building, and that's it. And they sell it and they just pass it off, and that's that's as far as they go. So I just really lucked up as far as like in that portion. And then I was even able to, because it's been sitting for so long, and I know it's been sitting for a while, I was able to negotiate the price down by several thousand. So it was just I just say I was very fortunate to execute and get this started, because this is my first development project. So I'm just looking forward to documenting and learning so that I can have bigger projects and work on and establish like those bigger partnerships and work with people so that I can move on and do 50 home projects, 100 home projects. I look forward to that. That's the ultimate goal. That's the update I have for now. I'll have pictures and some more of like the legal stuff and proceedings in the next video. I just wanted to do like an update because I know this isn't the same vibe as the first one, because the first one was just, oh yeah, look at the homes being built and look at the land and the well being dug and all this kind of stuff like that. So I just wanted to kind of give you some information like on behind the scenes, because it's a lot of things that have to go right before you break ground. So I think I'm going to spend like a couple videos focusing on that, and then we'll get as far as like into like the home process and finding a builder and ways to cut costs as that on well, because I've negotiated some really amazing deals to have the homes built. So I can't wait to get to as far as like that portion of it. And I think it'll provide a lot of value for you guys. I appreciate you guys following my journey and documenting the video, because it's a lot of things that have to go right before you break ground. So I appreciate the questions and the comments, and if I can be of assistance to you, I will certainly let you know if I have any knowledge at all in that area. If I don't, I'll tell you I don't know, but I appreciate the support and you guys following and having a general interest as far as in this first project. I think we're going to learn a lot, and if you have developed some projects before and you just happen to come across like my video or something like that, please feel free to leave any suggestions or concerns you have or anything in as far as like in the comments, because I learn just as much from you guys as you do from like my experiences and me sharing what I know. So feel free to share any perceptions or feedbacks that you have as far as in the comments. I'm very active in those. That's all I have for now. Again, thank you for your time. I appreciate you all. And if you'd like to continue following this journey, please just consider subscribing and hitting the like button for this video. It helps it get seen by more people, and it also helps the channel grow. So with that, thank you, and I'll see you next time.